Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday. Senator Susan Collins considering a run for governor. If she wins, she could find herself in a very unique position.
Plus, now that the appeal has been filed for Dakota the dog, you still have a lot of questions. We're getting some answers.
And how far would you go for your kid? One mom goes pretty far.
Ooh, this is News Center now.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. I'm Chris Costa in for Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. This is the big talker today. There's still a chance that a dog who's made national news could avoid being put down. You've likely heard of this case by now. Dakota, a 4-year-old husky, killed a neighbor's pug last year. She later broke out of court-ordered confinement and bit another dog owned by the same neighbor.
Now, Dakota was taken to the Waterville Humane Society and ordered to be put down, but instead was put up for adoption. That's when her current owners got her. When that mistake was discovered, Governor LePage got involved. He asked that the dog not be put down and said the owners weren't given due process. Yesterday, Dakota had her hearing, and a judge ordered that she should still be put down. But Dakota's owners filed an appeal yesterday afternoon.
Okay, so with the appeal, what happens now? We sent Jess to try to get some answers to all of this.
Hey guys, we've seen all your questions and comments online, so I drove to Waterville today to try to get some answers for you. Dakota was being kept at the Waterville Humane Society, and I spoke with an official there who said all the attention this case has been getting has been overwhelming and upsetting for some staff members, so the decision was made not to allow any media on the premises today. I also tried to speak with the owner of the dog that Dakota killed in 2016. No one was home at the residence, and we could not reach the dog's owner by phone. I was able to speak with one of the lawyers in the case today, Bonnie Martinolich, who is representing Dakota's current owner. She said in order to stop Dakota from being executed, Dakota's previous owner, Matthew Perry, had to file an appeal, which he did on Tuesday afternoon. Martinolich said that appeal put an automatic stay on the judgment to put down Dakota, and it came just in the nick of time.
We did it at 3:30 at the same time. They were taking Dakota to be euthanized. So it was, we knew we had to do it yesterday, and we got it done.
So the automatic stay means Dakota will stay alive for now. Martinolich says her client, Linda Janiski, is also appealing the judge's decision yesterday on the grounds that her due process rights were violated and that the governor's pardon of Dakota does have merit. The case is expected to go to Maine Supreme Judicial Court. Amanda and Chris?
Hey, thanks, Jess. So here's the court process if a dog is actually deemed dangerous. First, let's define a dangerous dog. According to state law, any dog or wolf hybrid that bites a person or domesticated animal not trespassing on the dog owner's property, even if a person also not trespassing and not egging the animal on feels like they're in danger, that could be enough to deem the dog dangerous.
Once that definition is made, the court can make a number of rulings. It can order the dog be confined. That means kept within a fence or structure at least 6 feet high and locked, or that the dog be muzzled and on a short leash under the control of the owner.
It's when a dog has a history of violence or has killed or seriously injured a person or animal, the court can decide if the dog should be put down. But what about the owner? If someone keeps a dangerous dog, they can face some serious fines. If the owner doesn't follow the court's ruling, the dog can be taken away and euthanized immediately, and the owner foots that bill. The court can also decide owners can never have another dog.
And this has a lot of you already weighing in on Facebook. We probably got a couple of comments on this already.
Yes, you know, a lot of people talking about it, and we'll get to those comments a little bit later. Meanwhile, this is something that a lot of you are already weighing in, and we haven't even started talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. This one was a big talker on Facebook. Senator Susan Collins saying she's considering a run for governor in 2018. Now, the seat will be open because term limits mean Governor LePage can't run again. There are a lot of people in both parties mulling over whether to jump into the race, though.
Right. Senator Collins has been saying for weeks that she will base her decision on how she can best serve the people of Maine. So we're bringing in our political guru. Pat, let's talk about the possibilities here. I mean, she's been saying that for a while.
She has, and let's face it, Susan Collins would be a formidable candidate for governor. She boasts some of the highest approval ratings of any senator in the country. Chances are, if she enters the race, some Republicans would try to recruit someone to oppose her in a GOP primary. Some of them, including Governor LePage, have been upset with Collins, in part for her public stance against Donald Trump in the presidential campaign. But Collins would be the odds-on favorite to win the election if she decides to run. Senator Collins told us today she expects to make a decision by this fall.
Okay, so if she runs and if she wins, what happens to her seat?
Someone has to be appointed to fill out the remaining 2 years of her term in the U.S. Senate. And who would make that choice? The governor of Maine, and not necessarily Paul LePage. The seat would become vacant when Collins resigns to take the oath of office as governor. Conceivably, Collins could resign early while LePage is still in office and let him make the choice. But given the sometimes frosty relationship between LePage and Collins, she might want to reserve that right for herself.
Now, Pat, in all of your experience covering politics, have you ever seen anything like this before?
In fact, we have. In 1980, Senator Ed Muskie was chosen by President Carter to become the U.S. Secretary of State during the Iran hostage crisis. Then Governor Joe Brennan had the responsibility to choose someone to fill out the more than 2 years left in Muskie's term in the Senate. Brennan turned to a former political rival who had beaten him in 1974 to get the Democratic nomination for governor. His name, George Mitchell, who had been appointed a federal judge, a job he expected to have for the rest of his life. Because Mitchell had lost a race for governor that he'd been expected to win, he was seen by some as a weak candidate for re-election to the Senate. So both of Maine's members of Congress were itching to run against him when it was time, including Olympia Snowe. In the end, Mitchell handily defeated Congressman Dave Emery to win his first full term. As we know, Mitchell went on to become Senate Majority Leader and a very respected player on the international scene, tackling conflicts in Northern Ireland and the Middle East. So you never know how these things are going to play out.
You never do know. Like we said, a lot of people weighing in on Facebook. Hazel says, you don't get my vote, traitor. Go retire yourself. Term limits for the dinosaurs. And then Stephen says, should get a reprieve, need to see how she reacts in a different environment.
There are Republicans who are not enamored
Right.
of Susan Collins right now. And in fact, when they talk about term limits, she pledged the first time she ran to only serve 2 terms. She's gone far past that and said, well,
Right.
things change.
Right, yep.
Very interesting considering the fact that she's only said, I'm considering the run for governor, all the reaction
It would be historic. Maine's never had a
Right.
woman governor. That might be part of the appeal. Who knows?
Right. All right.
Interesting. Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks so much.
Hey, let's take a look at today's news now. Cumberland County sheriffs are searching for a missing teen. That's one thing we're looking at in today's news. Officials say Lilia Simmons, who is 16, was last seen at the Harpswell Charter School in Brunswick on Monday. She was reported missing by her mother. Police say she has no access to a phone or a vehicle. Anyone with information about her should contact Cumberland County sheriffs.
A man charged with murder almost 38 years after the death of his baby son pleads not guilty. Burton Hager was charged last week. His 4-month-old son's death was originally considered a SIDS death. Today, Hager pleaded not guilty and will be held without bail until his trial begins. And 2 months after it launched, Maine's so-called Welfare to Work program is being lauded as a big success. This afternoon, Commissioner of Health and Human Services Mary Mayhew visited the FedCap program in Augusta. It's one of 16 statewide opportunity centers. The program works to break down the barriers to economic well-being by providing educational training and worksite experience to give individuals on welfare assistance the help they need to become employer ready. So far, 60 Mainers have found employment through the Augusta site. Hey, Maine has some bragging rights when it comes to celebrities. People like Patrick Dempsey, Anna Kendrick, Stephen King, all people we're proud to call Mainers.
And Chris Costa. Here's another one who is pretty awesome. Get it? It's Spose. So what's he up to these days? Hear more from him next on Now. Hey, Maine has some pretty talented musicians. One of them, more well-known, goes by the stage name Spose. He just released a new album and an app, oh, by the way.
Yeah, his genre is hip-hop. He often raps about his home state, but he's not a typical artist. His home life is actually pretty normal. Lee Goldberg spent a day with him recently.
Ryan Peters has always known that creating things would be part of his life. He was a feverish writer in school, and when he would write song after song after song, his friends suggested that he go by the name Spose, because that's what he used to say instead of suppose. And a star was about to be born.
That was the first place I really got like tons of encouragement, was when I was in school. And not to say my mom and dad didn't love me, but they were divorced and it was like tough at home. And so like I'd go to school and I would get tons of love as like a writer from teachers or whoever. And I'd win, you know, in like 7th grade, I won like the speech competition, like the civic oration or whatever. So I always love attention. I always love writing. And I always love music.
Betty White is not old, ice is not cold, and I would never lie.
Spose was originally in a rock band named Fight Shirt, but he was kicked out of the group in 8th grade after playing just one show. From there, he turned to rap, and it wasn't long after the release of his first album that he knew this would be his future.
And I went up to Farmington and I sold it out. And I was like, you know, I had just put out one, album, and I was like, I'm the man. I was like, oh, I could do this. Is real. And they knew all the words.
I'm on the throne if you're looking for who to unseat.
Within 2 years of his first album, Spose became a dad, dropped out of college, signed a record deal, watched I'm Awesome go gold, only to then be dropped by his record label 11 months later. All by the age of 23.
I got what people work their whole careers for, albums and albums for, right out the gate on my second thing I ever put out. So that is to say, like, awesome. It happened so quick, no pun intended, but also like I was naive. I wasn't as prepared as I am now.
Now 31, Spose has 4 children and calls being a father his most rewarding job of all. He has turned out 6 albums, has a solid national fan base where he can still tour. He has started a computer software company to start planting seeds for his post-rap life, which, according to him, has a definite shelf life.
It's almost like a tough balance, because it's like you don't want to rap about immaturity or, being 18 through 23 when you're not. And you also don't want to like be too, I don't want to make 100 songs about how I'm going to Home Depot and like changing diapers. So it's like, this is no joke to me. It's no joke to me, and I don't want to be perceived as a joke. So it's very important to me that my work ethic and my music shows that,
Spose is a self-proclaimed newsie. He stays up on all current events, watches Jeopardy regularly, and is constantly looking to learn new things. He also has a tremendous passion for Maine. So could a political run be somewhere down the road?
There's no question in my mind that if I ran for political office, despite everything I've ever said in a rap song, I could beat anybody else running for that office, because they're boring and they're liars. And I think I'm just one of us, and I think I could win that office. However, I would never want to subject my family, my kids and my wife, I would never want to subject them to the scrutiny of every idiot with a keyboard.
Possible political run for Spose then. Interesting.
We've speculated a lot on politics today.
We've done far too much talking about politics
but
today.
Really, a really cool insight into what his life has been like, what he goes through in a day, and I mean, just to see, how much he enjoys being in Maine, repping Maine, and rapping about it. It's cool. He
is genuinely an awesome guy too. He's super, super nice and so friendly. And we met him when he did the Storm Center rap. A lot of you remember that one with Jackie and Keys.
See, that was before my time. I have seen it, but...
Go Google it. Hey, find out when the rain clears out. Coming up next on Now.
Well, for a lot of us today, it was kind of 2 different days. We started off with sunshine and warm temperatures, and then clouds and showers moved in. Sneaky, though, got up to 65 in Sanford, 60 in Portland, 50s here across the interior, and only in the 40s in the mountains where they saw more clouds. Whole state now covered up in clouds, but the back end of this coming in very quickly. So this front wasn't all that strong, and it was relatively narrow in its depth, which means these showers will be racing through and clearing out by later on tonight. And then the back edge of this, again, is pretty clear. So it'll be dark when most of this moves through, but it will be actually going from raining to clear very quickly. National Weather Service still has a bunch of flood watches in effect in through New Hampshire and a lot of Maine. This is largely just a runoff situation, right? This time of the year, when temperatures get mild, you start melting snow very quickly. So that runoff, coupled with some rain that has been generally light, and that's why they have those flood watches. They do have some flood warnings as well on the Kennebec River. We sent a crew out there earlier today, though, and it hasn't been that big a deal, and I don't expect that it will be. We should end up with minor flooding for the most part, just kind of almost like a splash overlook there. All right, so the front moves through. We start to clear out by later tonight. Now tomorrow is a nice sunny day. It's a little bit breezy on northwest winds, and it's a little cooler. The good thing about this pattern right now is that cooler still means mid-50s and upper 50s for most of the state. So much of March and the beginning part of April, we started off on a cool note. We couldn't get above average, and now playing on the right side of the field, so to speak. Another nice day on Friday, and most of the day on Saturday is sunny before some clouds start moving in Saturday night, and this system here will affect us for Easter Sunday, although I don't think it'll be a washout. So hour by hour forecast showing you the showers moving offshore by tomorrow morning, sunny along the coastline, some clouds across northern Maine and the mountains. They'll start to disintegrate though, and everyone ends up sunny by later on in the afternoon. Clear overnight on Thursday and nice and bright on Friday, and again most of the day on Saturday. So as far as your temperature trend goes, we're going to be playing above average Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we do cool down noticeably as we head into Monday and Tuesday with a high probably in the upper 40s at that point. You know, one change to the forecast that we've had, we've been able to increase the temperature on Sunday and decrease the shower chances. So I still think there'll be scattered showers around for Easter Sunday, but look at these temperatures. I think 70s inland, and then again we cool down as we head into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as well. But even along the coastline on Easter Sunday, we should be able to get into the upper 60s here, partly cloudy on Monday, and then cooler on Tuesday. Afternoon showers again on Wednesday. But overall, more sunshine than showers over the next 7 days, and temperatures certainly in the right direction.
At least the temperatures are headed in the right direction.
Thank goodness. And he was saying earlier, too, as long as you get that 3-to-1 ratio of good days to bad days, I feel like we're in spring.
We'll take it, right, Cindy?
Yes, so we will. I gotta love it out there.
Yeah.
We got a lot more news coming up on News Center at 5:30. We got to follow up to that story we had yesterday about those 60 students protesting because they're not being told why one of their favorite teachers is being let go from Oak Hill High School. So we're going to talk with the group that brought also the Northern Paper Mill. They bought it, and we're going to talk about the progress they're making when it comes to what they're doing for the town of Millinocket and the future for the people in that town, how they're going to keep using that mill building. Plus, high schoolers get a dose of reality when it comes to the dangers of texting and driving. It was a little gruesome, actually. That much more ahead on News Center at 5:30.
All right, that's Cindy. Thanks so much.
Now continues in a moment.
In today's Brain Drops, NASA plans on smashing its own spacecraft into Saturn. There's a backstory behind this, though. The spacecraft, they're naming this whole thing called the Grand Finale. The spacecraft is called Cassini. It's actually been in orbit for about 20 years, spent 7 years getting towards Saturn, and then it has spent almost 7 years now orbiting around. The reason that they're going to smash this spacecraft into Saturn is because it could pose a danger. Cassini is now running out of rocket fuel. You may think, what do you need rocket fuel for when you're already in orbit? Well, they use rocket fuel for thrusting one side or the other, which is the only way that scientists on the ground can control this and its movement. So here's the concern part. Cassini itself actually found that some of Saturn's moons, 2 in particular, may be able to support life. Couldn't get close enough to tell exactly what that might be, but the feeling was there could be some life on these moons. Therefore, they didn't want to take the risk that they would lose control of this spacecraft and smash it into a part of Saturn's moons that could potentially have alien life. So in short, NASA taking one for the alien team.
Social stop. Just bear with me because I'm not going to be able to read this one with a straight face. A little girl in St. Louis just wanted a poop-themed party for her 3rd birthday, so her parents just threw her one. You heard that correctly. Audrey's mom told the Huffington Post that the family decided to embrace the weird to give her the party that she wanted. Her birthday was in October, but the story is just now going viral. The mom says she suggested other themes, but Audrey always insisted on the poop theme, so they had poop emoji balloons, a cake, and even played Pin the Poop on the toilet. And good news for Audrey if she can't get enough, because USA Today reports Sony Animations will be releasing the Emoji Movie this summer. Sir Patrick Stewart will be the voice of the poop emoji. The movie takes place in Textopolis, a bustling city where all emojis live, hoping to be selected by the phone's users.
Okay. That is ridiculous, but it is, I think the party itself is kind of sweet. I mean, just the photos, the parents got so into it.
And she was so jazzed. I mean, you can tell in those pictures that this was the best birthday ever. Like, it was exactly what she had in mind for her birthday party. But,
that's
you know, there's like Frozen, you know, like that's a decent theme.
No, absolutely. And I mean, when it,
that's so boring though. Everybody does Frozen.
Well, I mean, and people like Frozen, but you know, emojis really are the big thing now, especially when it comes to texting. You know, kids love to use emojis. I love to use emojis. So, you know, as long as we're kind of keeping it, use the word clean, you know, as clean as we can. A nice thing to do.
It's funny that none of us are parents to have this conversation, but it shows like how much parents, how far they'll go for their kids.
Can't judge.
It's sweet. Okay, 5:30 is next. Thanks for joining us.
What's next year?